Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. My name is Valorie Hubbard, and my partner in crime is
James Hallett, good morning.
good
Hope you're all
morning.
well.
Good. We're all good. And our special guest today, we have a special guest today, Miss Doreen Calderon, which we have a long history. We were just discussing offline. But let me read her bio so you all know what's up with Doreen and who she is. So Doreen Calderon is an American television, film, and theater actress. She can be seen in the recurring role of Maureen Walker in Fatal Attraction, which is on Paramount Plus. In 2022, she played Raquel Torres in the Oscar-nominated live-action short Please Hold. Recent TV credits include Bosch Legacy on Amazon, White House Plumbers on HBO, Riverdale on CW, Loot on Apple TV. I love that show. And Call Me Kat on Fox. In LA, Doreen is a core performing member of the improv comedy troupe Cold Tofu. Currently, she is in Chicago working on the American stage premiere of Gods and Monsters at Theater Wit. She is also a certified impact catalyst coach and a professional dream interpreter, James.
Are you? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
doesn't come up very often, during an audition because they don't really need that skill from me.
So how long
Never
have you
know.
been in
Yeah.
Chicago doing the play?
Um, we're in rehearsal. So I got here, oh God, right before Easter and immediately went to Northern Michigan to stay with my mom for the holiday. Came back, immediately started rehearsal, which was a whole other thing. So I booked this job. The contract was in December, and theater, they plan way ahead of time. So, cut to 4 months later, here we are. The day before rehearsal, the day before our first rehearsal, the production manager informs me that my union status is the first they've heard of it. Now, if you remember, and a lot of people don't know, Chicago has highly professional theater, even though most of it's non equity. So the theater I'm going to be doing the show in is a non equity house, but they were working with a guest contract for an equity member. It was a French farce. I mean, there were things that everybody did their due diligence, including me. I even called the union back in December to make sure that this was legit. And they're like, we checked it out. You're good. But I didn't know that they were working with a different actor in the show who's union. They thought I wasn't union, even though it's everywhere. So there's no blame, but it was a whirlwind trying to get this together. I was in a moment where I had to think, I may not be doing this show. They maybe cannot afford me. I'm going to have to just take my 2 months of belongings and turn right around back to LA.
Yeah.
But what I realized in that moment was I'm planning for things that haven't happened yet.
Mm.
And that is the biggest lesson I've learned, like in the last 6 years, that have made life so much easier for me. And I could see the equity rep, my agent, the producer for the show, they were all like coming at me with texts and emails and phone calls and trying to fix this problem. And I could just gently watch them in their little panic, even though outside they were very professional. And just know that it's going to be fine.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is a great way to start this. I want to ask you, like, because you've been doing, for years now, and especially in the last, nearly 10 years, you've been really doing a lot of TV and film. So now you're doing a play. And by the way, Doreen and I went to the same acting school, and we're classically theatrically trained. And so how are you adjusting to that? Like the long rehearsal process as opposed to what you're used to with on camera and that sort of thing.
I think I summed it up to a friend recently that I'm being fed and I didn't know how starved I was.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. That's powerful.
And it has bled into, I've had two self tapes since I've been here. And my reps all over, they know I'm committed to this here. And because it's theater, I'm committed for 2 months. So even the self tapes are fewer because television is quick. I couldn't really go back efficiently. For instance, Monday night, I got a self tape for a lead in a feature film, but it doesn't shoot until the fall. So I'm like, okay, good. 7 pages, no big deal. 3 scenes, no big deal. All of the scenes, I had 2 paragraph monologues. Now, I know, thankfully, that the new union rule is they cannot ask us to memorize. And with a film, you have more leeway anyway. But the truth is, the sooner we get off the page, or the more we run it, which is a natural way to memorize, the easier it is for us to perform. We don't have to think about what am I doing next. And just what's the word? Compacting that from my rehearsal process is just made it easier for me. What it's done, the rehearsal process, it's just underlined the fact that the moment we start censoring ourselves up here with what do they want, our creative process stops. And in rehearsal, oh my God, I have the most generous director and cast. It's anything goes with, but maybe I was thinking, yes, Doreen, what were you thinking? And we'll discuss it with everybody. So there's the freedom to create and explore. And that's what I carried into this recent audition for the first time after I had hit submit on the old Actors Access. And it went straight to the casting director. For the first time, my manager reached out and just gushed about what a great job I did.
Can you talk for a second about like when you think about the expectancy, like you're doing a self tape and the other person who's watching it, and you talk about the difference between the expectancy they have versus the expectancy of walking into a theater rehearsal room.
It's huge. Yeah. And you knew that asking that question. First of all, let's talk about what I mostly do, which is television. Everybody's under the gun schedule wise. So they've got to get through these auditions. They've got to send off these tapes. They've got to make decisions. And then they start all over again with the next episode. So if you walk, and I've been in the room rarely since the pandemic for theatrical auditions, but I have. And you go into the room and you sense that. You sense this need to provide for them something wonderful right away. You know the quote. But worse, something wonderful right away that they want. That's what makes it worse. And then when I go into the rehearsal process, it's like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do whatever I want until they go, Doreen, let's change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have been on some sets with TV where you felt more free to try stuff, I'm sure, once you were on the set.
True. You know what? I took 2 different situations. I took an audition situation and compared it to a rehearsal process. So forgive me. So let's go working to working,
Okay.
right? So on television, they're still under the gun. You know, they expect you to do exactly what you did at the callback so they can do it. Unless you're appearing more than once. Now, this is a general statement. You know, you could have a day player job and they give you a lot of freedom. But what comes to mind are the times where I've appeared more than once. I remember when I was on Riverdale, I had two episodes I was in. And I really looked into the character and I said to whomever online, I forgot who it was, one of the ADs probably, I said, you know, she's Native American. She's just been with somebody who she feels is toxic. I think she would have some sage there on her coffee table. And they did it for me. You know, I was so pleased when I showed up and did that. And then in the middle of the first scene, we did it a couple of times. The writer is there. He's also constantly writing, and he comes over to me and he says, okay, now instead of that line, you're going to do this line. And it was fun because we changed it up. It wasn't like the same television script that you're used to, like, gotta stick to the words. I felt more part of a collaborative process.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely have not felt that very many times, but I was thinking about one time specifically when I was on a set and the actor that I was working with a lot was one of those kind of actors that showed up to set all the time with ideas.
Oh,
And so they were used to him because he was a series regular. And so he wanted to play and he enrolled me and I was allowed to do that because of him. Right.
nice.
And so, you know, that, and it was an HBO show. So, you know, they're a little bit more, in my experience, a little bit more artistic than your, you know, network stuff.
no, true. I did that. The White House Plumbers was an HBO show. And I've got the scene with Woody Harrelson. That whole story actually is pretty funny.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, I know we're supposed to be talking about wealth, but I do want to say this is
No,
wealth.
this is wealth.
This is wealth.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
This is
I mean,
a
and
wealth
that's
of information.
exactly.
Well, I like to think, if you're, you know, you asked me the other day, what does wealth mean to you? And I finally came up with the answer, which is happiness and contentment. It's not an original answer, but that is the one that I see is the baseline for everything. And I think with artists, actors, we find our happiness and contentment in creation, right? So going back to the story, first of all, I got booked. It was a straight booking from the casting director, and I didn't know what it was going to be. All I saw was something like housekeeper. And can we swear on this?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Please feel free.
So all my life, you know, this face, regardless of my conservatory training and my improv adeptness and my you know, higher education behind me, they see nanny, housekeeper, whatever, cleaning woman, whatever. And so I see housekeeper. I'm like, fuck me, you know, fuck me, you know, this is and then I thought, you know what? I don't mind these jobs. I mind auditioning for them. If they're like one liner, you know, housekeeper stereotypical, which is what this was, but I hadn't seen the script yet. So I'm in wardrobe, and here's a thing that we can collaborate on. I've learned is we can collaborate in wardrobe because those people are always asking us, so what do you think? What do you think of this? Would she wear that? You know, no matter how small the part is, well, sometimes. I mean, in on good sets, they always ask. So they asked me, and I said, "You guys, I haven't even seen the scene yet. I don't know what's going on." They're like, "Oh, you haven't? Oh, it's really cute. Okay, you and Woody." I didn't know I was in a scene with Woody, right? Like, you and Woody are talking in Spanish, and and after talking in Spanish, everything they said was wah 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 because I don't speak Spanish.
Talk about assumptions. Oh my God. Wow.
I don't remember, my arms were out because they were pinning or tucking or something. My arms were out, and all I could think of was, please don't fire me, please don't fire me, please don't fire me. And then my mind switched to, no, this is on them. They never gave me the script. They never asked me. They never told me what it was about. We'll see. Truth is, I'm good with a couple of lines. I'm very good with a couple of lines. So I have done stuff that where I speak some Spanish, and I have done more stuff where I actually have an accent. So I finally get the script and I'm like, oh, thank God. It's like nothing. It's like, I can do this. But we get on set. And if you have an assumption of what Woody Harrelson is like, you're right. He is who he is. And he is so generous and welcoming and fun. So the two stars were oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Anyway, his fellow star, I forget his name, he's a big actor too.
Yeah, I forget too.
Very different ways of working. So his partner was, I think actually he was quiet. He was mostly quiet. Whereas Woody's like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, da, 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 and then go right into the scene. The director, David Mandel, who did Veep and Curb Your Enthusiasm. I didn't know the director until I got on set. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. He wanted us to play. I did a little video a while back about working with Woody. I think I might have said something, and I said that 1 minute scene, we were working for 5 hours. I mean, maybe mostly 3 hours, before and after, but 3 hours. And some random guy online said, I saw the scene. It didn't take you that long. Oh, I was there because David wanted to play. He wanted to play. He wanted to play. And it was great. Then they switched cameras, right? They switched angles, sorry. So now it's on me. And Woody stayed. He didn't have to. He's on the other side of the camera giving me the lines. And the director gives me a comedic direction. And I'm like, you know what? We've been playing all morning. I am going to run with this. And what it was a pause. He wanted me to lengthen this pause. And I knew exactly what he meant. It was about the timing of it. And I thought, I'm going to do this pause to where it feels long. And when it feels long, I'm going to hold for 3 more counts. And I did. Woody was behind the camera doing this, trying not to laugh. That to me was riches. It was better than the pay I got for the day, making a professional in comedy laugh at a choice I made so hard that he was trying to muffle his sounds.
That I totally know that feeling. And that's such a great story. Justin Theroux.
Yes. Yes. He's very, very focused.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Awesome. That is such a great story. So, I mean, these are all great stories. Do you have more?
I started, I can't remember, see where I'm all over the place, an Instagram or a YouTube sub thing called I've Got a Million of Them. But I don't remember them until I'm in conversation with people. So that's why I can't sit down and go, I should write about my last experience. But you know the Dear Jesus story?
No.
Nope.
I know I shared it with you, but this is a good one.
Okay.
So it was a year ago Thanksgiving. A week before Thanksgiving, I get an email that says, Dear Jesus, your appointment for wardrobe for Curb Your Enthusiasm is on this day and this time. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this poor guy Jesus, they've got the wrong email. So I sent wardrobe an email back and said, sorry, it's not me. And they wrote back and they said, that's strange. Every time we click on his name, your email comes up. And I said, that's strange because I've never been on the show and I've never even auditioned for Curb Your Enthusiasm. And they're like, okay, weird. Thank you. Thank you. Good day. A week later, I get an email that says, Dear Jesus, here is your script for Curb Your Enthusiasm. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach me or the executive producer / director. And I'm thinking, oh my God, poor Jesus, he can't not have his script. This poor guy. And so I'm about to type a reply back. And then I think, you know what? I will. I'm going to do that right now to the AD. But I now have the executive producer's email. And I did something I'd never done before. My history of an early actor is an obedient actor. I suffered from being obedient. And especially, not especially, but even in LA, there are certain protocols. No, you go through casting. You don't go through the executive producer. You know, you don't take advantage of the fact that you have their email. And you know what? What I realized in that moment, and I don't recommend this to anyone to do this thing, but I recommend people to play with the spirit of what I did. I knew I had the credits. I knew I had the improv experience because that's, you know, I'm still part of an improv group. And when I thought, I've never even been called in for the show. Why? I emailed the executive producer and I said, I've been getting these emails and I'm going to take it as a sign. You should just hire me straight. You should just direct hire me. Here's my IMDb link. And I remember typing this in front of my sisters because I was sharing with them and they thought it was funny. These emails were funny. And I'm telling them, I'm just going to ask for a direct booking. And when I did it, I'd send it. And we were laughing and laughing and laughing because it's such freedom. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want because my heart was never set on this show. I had never auditioned for them before. I didn't even know who the casting director was at that moment. I didn't bother to look it up because I was just sort of in the heat of it. And it was just very freeing. Well, that was Thanksgiving time. Right after New Year's, my agent gives me an email and she said, well, here's a nice surprise. You have a direct booking for Curb Your Enthusiasm. I laughed so hard. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. I just like, this is so funny. Yet it's a simple lesson. Just ask. The worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to blackball you. Nobody's going to, you know, it's.
And you were, I mean, you were in response. I mean, this is the other thing. Like you didn't, it wasn't manufactured,
No.
right? They had written to you for whatever reason, accidentally twice. So what, I mean, what I love about what you did was that you just hit the ball back,
Yes.
right?
That's
It
a
was
great description.
right. It was an
Yeah.
opportunity and you were like, okay, let's play. Right. You guys, you keep messing up. So here's a ball coming your way. You know,
Did they ever figure out why they would click his name? And did you ever get the answer to that?
I'm going to make an assumption, and here's my points that I connected, the dots that I connected. I found out that the casting director, Allison Jones, she's the same person who did a direct booking with White House Plumbers for me with Woody Harrelson. So she knows me. So she probably, I'm guessing, accidentally gave you them my information attached to Jesus's information. That's all I can guess.
Did you have a similar last name?
No.
Oh,
No.
that's so wild.
I guess maybe we're just in the Latino file.
maybe it was clearly meant to be like, what?
It was meant to be. And when you talk about play, James, I have this three-pronged philosophy. that I close out a lot of my coaching YouTubes on. Quit thinking so much, just show up and play. That's it in life. That's it in business. That's it in relationships. It's everything.
So can you talk about coaching? Like, can you talk about like who are you as a coach, and how is that identity the same or different from your identity as a performer, as an actor?
Oh, identity. See, but
In other words,
when I go,
how do you think of yourself? You know, when you think of yourself as a coach, how do you come to that? And how is that, like, how is that distinct or different from you as the actor self? That's what I
okay.
mean. That's what I mean by
So
identity.
so here's the problem with words. I have said I'm a coach because that's the word we understand.
Yeah.
I am certified as an impact catalyst, which means I am a catalyst for impact with my clients or anybody who wants to talk to me about anything that they're going through. And if I say, you want me to put on my, catalyst hat, then I'll go for it. Because a coach is somebody who knows about the business that their client is about, or knows about the, we'll say, health condition or physical condition that their client is about, and give them instructions and encouragement and maybe tools to get through whatever they're giving. The best thing about being a catalyst, and I discovered this when I did dream interpretation, but I didn't know that I could be official with it. Anyway, the best thing about what I do is I come with nothing, because I know that every single human has access to the same wisdom that I do. All I need to do is point them in a direction and say, look, I'm not going to tell them what to see, because everyone sees their own thing. But if I see them going, oh, that's impact, I don't have to ask what they've seen. I know that they feel it, and they're never going to think the same way again.
Do you remember, we all, by the way, all three of us were coached by the same coach at one point.
Oh, okay.
And
A
so,
different business coach. Is that what you're talking
no,
about?
you and I and James were all coached by Melissa.
Right. The business coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you did this, I was thinking how Melissa used to always do that. She always would be like that. And so when James and I used to talk about doing a mockumentary about the coaching industry, we would always be like, I'm going to play that coach that goes like, I'm going to imitate Melissa. I'm going to go like this. So when you did that, I just thought of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, the thing about that, everything there's always truth in cliche. So there is humor to that, but there's also truth in it, because the difference, what people get stuck in, right, when they want something, is finding out everything about it and being a really good researcher. Mm. But when you do this, you look and you explore. And that's what I guide my clients to do. Move from researcher to explorer. There's no substitution for knowledge but experience. That's the best way to learn. That's the only way to learn.
It is the only way to learn. I mean, it's so funny you said that, because in some coaching that I was doing yesterday with my clients, I was saying that, I was saying that's the way we learn, that's the way we all learn, by doing stuff over and over again. And that's how we learn. Because we had a great guest at our content mastermind, Amy Schumacher, who just produced her second feature, but she, with a big cast, and she got to be the casting director and like have big auditions in New York. And she told us all about that. But she started with shorts. She did a ton of shorts, right? And really got her producer hat going. And then she moved to features. And you know, by the time she got to the features, she was ready to go, you know,
Yeah.
she knew what she
Yeah.
was doing.
Yeah. So you remind me. So I am in town doing a play, but another thing I thought, well, since I'm here, this whole last year, I've been co-writing a feature film. And my partner had the base of the story. It's her story, but we've been writing, and she normally does novels, graphic novels, short stories, things like that. So she knows nothing about the business. That's why she invited me to be her co-writer. And I'm like, I don't know. I said, you know, I'll give you advice, but I don't want to be. She's like, no, I'm giving you co-writer credit. And I realized, yeah, I'm a co-writer, because once I got in there in that creative process that I knew nothing about or thought I knew nothing about. I'm an actor. I do dialogue. You know, I know what sounds right and what doesn't. Oh, I'm a comedic improviser. I know about timing and I know about rhythms. You know, that's too many words in that joke. Let's get it out. It's comedy that we're doing. So now we've had 2 full table reads. And she said to me, I never would have gotten this far without you. I never would have had the access to these amazing actors that are bringing these things to life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty lucky to have such like good friends and people I know to read all of these things. And they're smart, man. I got some smart actor writer friends, and they're giving us great feedback. So now we're on to the pitch deck phase. And what we thought we could do is create a teaser. And then I talked to a professional and he said, you don't want to do that. Or it looked more like a trailer. And he said, if you don't have the money, which we don't, if you don't have the money, it's going to look cheap and you're not going to attract anyone with something cheap. Stick with the pitch deck. But if you want to do something, just do one scene with 2 solid actors. And I'm like, okay, while I'm in Chicago, my partner is in Chicago. So I said, well, I'm here. Let's shoot that scene. Okay, you guys, I've never done this before in my life, the producer end. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know any crew people. I don't know anything. But what we're doing is we're going, what if? Let's ask so-and-so. Hey, maybe, you know. And it's kind of nail biting because we're supposed to do it a week from Monday. And did we get everybody? I think we nailed. Yeah, we got our 4-person crew. We got them. They just confirmed. I think the last one confirmed this morning. Now, still, anything can happen, right? We're lucky that we got the location donated to us. We've got these crew people who are up and coming, who want to just work on something. They really love our idea. That's the thing. We want people, whoever we're working with, to fall in love with what we're doing, because it's people think, oh, how am I going to sell this, or how am I going to get a director for this? Like, you know how you do it? You just share how much you love what you're doing, because whether that person I want to work with me is going to or not, I'm still going to do it. We don't know what this is going to become. We don't know who we're going to shop to yet. We don't know, is this a festival thing? I don't really like the festival thing. I think we just do it. Just fucking do it. Who cares? You know, in the meantime, our other lead actor, I'm one of the lead actors, of course, and the other lead actress, she's pitching her thing. Oh my God, she got a spot in the Cannes
Wait, who
store.
is it? Sherry?
It's Sherry.
Oh, you know, 'cause-
Yeah. So
wait, I
Sherry,
know her producer is one of our clients.
so well, here's the thing with Sherry, she's doing her own game with
Yeah.
this. And I'm watching and I'm like, I don't think that's our game, but I want to watch how she plays because that's so exciting.
Yeah, I've been watching her play this game for like I'm in her movie. And you know who else is?
Who?
Rooker.
Oh, I hooked her up with Rooker.
I
So Doreen, you used the word lucky, and I actually think that it's not luck. I think that you have made bold choices,
Mhm.
and you there's something that I believe about acting, which is that when we make a bold choice, it may be a mistake, right? We may fail, but it is also the only way that we can find a solution that we couldn't have discovered if we were just being smart. If we were stuck in this idea of I'm only going to make the safe choices, then the great things that actually come about from being daring would never happen. And I so you've made these incredibly smart, in the moment choices that were risky, and you had to step into the courageous place, and I think that's fantastic, because the things that are coming are about that courage.
That's one way to look at it.
Tell me.
You said a lot of words that I want that I can like, let's talk about that word. Let's talk about that word. And the first one that comes to mind is risky. Um, that's a concept. The only reason we think something is risky is because of the thoughts we're putting on that situation, right? It's neutral. Everything is neutral other than what we're thinking. And more importantly, other than what we're making up, right? So if we're so concerned about making the smart choices or the right choices, that means we are unaware or have forgotten our access to, to universal wisdom 100% of the time. We've forgotten we've had that. And that same wisdom is the same one that's going to save our ass. All of us alive today have been through some shit, but we're all here, able to laugh, able to create, able to move on in the world. And if we're not, it's not the end yet. There's still time, right? I don't, I don't know. I don't believe in courage. I think courage is something that you have to muster up when you believe something is scary. There's nothing scary other than our thoughts, right? And once we know that we are so taken care of, and that we are sources of wisdom, and that we, like you said, responsive, have the ability, have the natural, innate ability to respond with wisdom. I'm going to make the wrong decision. There is no wrong decision. That's what makes life easier and fun.
yeah. Um, it's funny when you said about the courage thing, a lot of times when someone is told, that someone went into a burning building to save someone, and they're like, you're so courageous. And I always think it's like funny when you see their response to that. They don't they didn't need courage to go into that building. There was something that pulled them into that building that was either someone they loved was in there, or they were just someone that always did right. Because I recently saw a little meme about some of the rich people that stayed on the Titanic and gave their seats to their maid or to a child because of their moral compass, right? Because of who they were. It wasn't about, they were willing to do that. Some of the richest people on that ship gave their lives because they were good people, right? And they gave their seats away. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, that that I always think when someone says, "Oh, you're such a hero," and you always see this response, and it's like, I don't feel like a hero. I just went into the building to get my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and we're talking about rich people and wealth and stuff like that. You know, for me, being wealthy, money wise, is not worrying about it. Not to be confused with, I have enough money so that I don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Regardless of how low we are in our bank account, to know we're going to be fine. That is magic right there. Because once we see that low bank account and we start to panic, and worse, start to judge ourselves for the bad decisions we've made, we get blocked all over the place.
Mm.
And then we go into the red. But when we see it dipping and go, that happens, it comes back up.
That I have learned that lesson. Oh my. I mean, running a business for 12 years, it's
Oh my
like,
God.
I know, because I used to go with it, like emotionally, and
Yep.
it almost killed me.
Yeah.
You know, it almost
You're
killed
not
me.
alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm on the, get off the ride, Valorie, just watch. You know, like you don't need to be on it. And that has been, you know, talking about learning from something from doing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Doreen,
I mean, go ahead,
I
Jim.
was going to ask you how you launched into doing work with dreams. Like where did that come from?
That was something I was born with. And I never considered sharing it until, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. I remember the first memory I have was my sisters and I shared a bedroom. There's me, I'm the youngest of three. Grew up on the southwest side of Chicago. And I was holding court in my bedroom, in our bedroom, talking about the dream I had the night before because it was epic and it was a story. And I remember every detail in that instance. Uh, Sometimes they believed me and sometimes they didn't, but they were listening. I, from that age, I knew that I paid attention to dreams more than the average person. And then as I became a young adult and, you know, we're on the whole new age thing and, you know, in the 80s and I'm like, oh, other people are talking about it. Okay, cool. And I find these like dream books and I'm like, there's something off about them. There's something weird. This isn't quite, and I'd go, and it wasn't until recently that I was at an, thank you, Amazon, going out of business sale for a bookstore that I found a dream interpreter and I just kind of flipped through it. And it's a little paperback. I'm like, this one resonates with me. Something about this one resonates with me. And I use it like a dictionary. That's what it is. It's a dream dictionary. Because what I can see, anybody can tell me a dream and I will have a hit right away. But I also know enough to know that that's just the surface. So how about if I go to my dream dictionary and go a little deeper? And then I'll see what the dream, and then because dreams are never usually one, right? It's like, and then I was in my neighbor's backyard. And then I was a tiny little person in the middle of a flower field. You know, it's like, okay, okay, now we're gonna connect the colors and the numbers and all that. And I love this kind of stuff. So it's
What's the name of the dream dictionary that you found?
you know what? I have it.
Oh, yeah, tell me. I want to know.
It's very simple. But here's the thing, if I show it to you, understand that like anything, it just resonates with me. It's not the
Well,
best.
I'm going to tell you why I'm asking, but
Okay. Oh, wait, where's it?
Dream Dictionary. Oh, it's called Dream Dictionary.
Yeah. An A to Z Guide to Understanding Your Unconscious Mind by Tony Crisp.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because I've been working with a nutritionist um who won't let me go on a diet, which is like, you know, my life of, you know, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, and she will not let me. And she recommended this book to me called Eating by the Light of the Moon. And I started by listening to it. And when you were saying that you, as a little kid, you were interpreting your sister's, what you were telling your dreams and to your sisters, I was like, oh my God, you would love this book, because the preface of this book talks about how we that are reading this book, that are responding to this book, were different, you know, and we were inherently different, and somehow that difference we learned how to pat down. And that's where, and I feel like it's not just for eating disorders, whether you are someone that goes on a diet all the time, or bulimia or anorexia, it's not just about that. It's really deeper than that. It's really about women. And one of the exercises in there is to start recording your dreams. And I had worked, you know, with James and for a while, and uh you know, a number of years ago, and James had asked me to write down my dreams. And so I started writing them down again. And I was going to tell you, James, I started writing my dreams down again. And it's just like when I started working with you, it's like the more I have the book right by my bed, and then I go in the morning, you know, and then I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, because my husband's asleep in the other room, I'm writing down whatever I remember as soon as I wake up, you know, and it's asking me to look at that. Because, and so that's an exercise I've been doing lately. That's why I asked for the dream, what it was you used, because yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Here's what I'm talking about. Access to wisdom, and what I love about dream interpretation too. I am never telling anybody when I interpret their dream what they don't already know. I'm not predicting the future or anything like that. You know, I'm not some soothsayer. There's, you know, I mean, it's basic Jungian stuff. I mean, he knew what it was about. So what they're asking you to do is listen to your own wisdom. That's what it is. And it's always harder when we're trying to do stuff on our own, like cut our own hair and stuff like that. That's why we get coaches, right? So that we can see things clearer, somebody who's objectively or whatever. And that's what I love to do for other people with dreams, because I'm objective. I know these things. And also, there's nothing I haven't heard before. People are embarrassed about some like weird things that happen in dreams. I'm like, you know, you fucking a goat is not you fucking a goat. Let's break that down. You know, we're
Yeah.
talking about something else. You know, and if you get stumped, you know, just email me. It's like, I think it's this, and, you know,
I will. I
I'll
will.
help you
Thanks for
clarify.
that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get, because I mean, I just started, and I'm reading the book again, because it was such a good book. And yeah, so that's what I'm up to with that. So
Yeah, I know it's hard for me. You know, I did for many years on and off writing my dreams first thing in the morning. First of all, it took too long because I remember everything. And second of all, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Because I'm too close to it. You know, there are some things that I know, oh, I had this horrible dream because I think in my waking life that what I'm going through is horrible. So my dream is telling me essentially, it's just a dream.
awesome.
Yeah.
So one question that we have asked people in the past, so I'll pose it to you, and you can take it however you want to. Um, what are or do you have long-term goals or a long-term dream for yourself and your career?
Um, you know, I got distracted for a second because I thought, were we going to have a Q&A with this?
Well, we haven't had any questions
Okay,
yet from the
okay,
community.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
But by the way, if you guys want to ask Doreen a question, put it in the Q&A section.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, like, when you think about your dreams for your career, or long-term goals, or anyone you think about, like, oh God, I'd love to work with this person. Um,
You know, this that's a great question because this is something I've been looking at for the first time in my life just in the last several months, and that is I've never had like a 5-year plan, never. And recently I discovered why. Because I knew somewhere in my gut that some kind of 5-year plan for me was an attachment to a result. It was, unless I'm building a building, then you got to make the plan, right? But if I have an idea for my career, part of what I love about being an actor, specifically in Hollywood, is that any day, any role, anything can happen. And I want to go on that ride. So for me to say, by year 3, I want to be in a film with this director, or I want to be in this type of film, or I want to be, in this, to me, it closes it off. It only shows limited form of what I really want. So now I'm asking myself, what do I really want? When you asked about health, I said really wealth, sorry, same thing. Wealth, it's happiness and contentment, right? So I, based on this book that I absolutely adore right now, maybe I'm just going through a phase, the 12-week year. I don't know if you guys have read this. I
No,
loved it.
I'm gonna write it down.
I started incorporating it with some of the clients that are working on goals. And it's funny because I've been running goal setting groups for over 12 years, and I've never been one to like do it myself. It's weird. But what I do have is a natural ability to, let's say the word is discipline. And a lot of people are looking for that. So if there's something I want, I will figure out what I need to do to get it. That's how I've moved along in life. So anyway, in the 12-week year, they talk about vision. And it's never risen. What the fuck is vision? What like, and it usually comes back to actors of like, I wanna have my own production studio, or I wanna, teach all over the world, or whatever it is. And like, to me, that's still stuck in form, like an earthly form. And so in their exercises or whatever, talking about vision, it comes back to the kind of, I think, the classic 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. He's got an exercise in there where he says to look at the end. What do you want your friends, that's like one column, your coworkers, another column, and your family, your loved ones, to say about you when you die? And that makes things real, because it's not about winning a fucking award. It's not about having a ton of credits. It's not about having 1 million followers. It's none of that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to answer your question, James. So with vision, I came up with 2 things. As an actor, I want to be an inspiration. That doesn't mean I want to be the best actor. But as a creative artist, as an actor, I want to be an inspiration. I would so be rewarded if somebody said to me, you are the reason, and Val, you know this.
Yeah.
You're the reason why I am where I am, or whatever, or why I decided to choose this instead of that. And again, even that touches on the need for outside validation. And maybe I'll be like a Van Gogh. I won't affect people until I'm dead, but that's my number one thing as far as being an actor, being an inspiration, how I conduct myself in my creative day, how I conduct myself on set, how I conduct myself in the creative process, how I show up, dear Jesus, how I show up to like just responding and stuff like that. And the other thing was, I was thinking about my impact catalyst coaching business. I want to create impact.
Yeah.
You know, how that turns out, I get distracted. It's like, I should be doing public speaking. Okay, I got to start working on that. And like, I, I don't want to, you know what? I don't want to do the work. If somebody invites me to do public speaking, I will be happy to do that,
Yeah.
but it's like, I just want, one person at a time. I want to create an impact. So those are my two things, James. It's like, what are your long-term plans? To be an inspiration and to create impact.
I love what you said, what people would say about you. I think the other thing that is helpful to me in that same vein, but on the other side, is like, if I'm on my deathbed, what are the things that I'm gonna be most happy about, right? And like, this about like, it's like, it's not about being on the TV shows that I've been on, it's about like, what are the things that I'm the most proud of, right? Like, what are the things that bring me joy? Like, for me, like traveling and being able to roll around on the floor like a child, and and inspiring people too, leaving that inspiration. So that's like another, I think it's actually might be from the same book, but it's that same, like, looking at it from that side. What is the things that I am most proud of? And that's one way for me to really align with what are those things that I want to have at the end of my life. And they really always have to do for me with a feeling of, like more of a feeling, not so much of a, like, I had this amount of money, I had this amount of credits, I won this award, or because all that really actually in the end, it's like, even now, it doesn't really, you're like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. The goal is the feeling. It's
Mhm.
not the stuff.
Mhm.
So I want to say that in the chat, one person writes, "You are an inspiration, Doreen. Inspiration comes from the word in spirit, and you are so clearly connected to spirit. God, the universal, creative mind, the source." That's Maggie Egan Cummings, and
Oh,
which is beautiful. And Rachel Strutt asks a question. Um, as you look back on preparing to leave Chicago to move to LA, when you did at one point, what are some of the things that you did right, and what would you do differently if you could?
That was another thing where I just responded. I did have a hit. Um, it's like, how can I tell this story with while being kind?
Hmm.
And maybe I don't tell that part of the story. I got a hit that I'm going to move out to LA. I looked around my life in Chicago and I'm like, I've got nothing holding me back. And I just want to try it. Again, I didn't have any big plans. I just knew that I was at an age where I was going to go into a new age category. And I'm like, either I stay here. Tracy Chapman comes to mind. Leave today or live and die this way.
hmm.
That's kind of what went through me. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, nothing wrong with it. And that's what I looked around and saw. Oh, these older actresses, they're really happy with what they're doing. They're very settled and they're making good livings. And I'm like, oh, I got to try it. I can do this. I knew that I could do this. I was in the circle now, at the time, Jane Alderman was the gal, right?
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah,
the
yeah.
casting person. Like, she saw me, I was in the circle now. And I'm like, okay, leave today or live and die this way. So I just thought 18 months. I don't know why. 18 months. That'll be a good amount of time because my lease goes up then and expires then. And then, maybe I can move in with my parents for a couple months. And it was all about asking. So I look back at, so it was a hit. Like, I got to try it. I don't know. I have no expectations. I had a first month's rent and a last month's rent and $1,100. That's it. I had no job, no connections, no representation. But I started talking about it in Chicago. I'm moving. I'm going to do this. And one of the other girls in the improv circle, she's like, I want to try it too. Let's be roommates. I'm like, sure. And she, because she worked in an office, you got, okay, kids, we're talking back before there was the internet. She worked in the office. I think she had a fax machine. She looked up things where we could rent. She found a place for us before we even moved out there. I moved out there first. Well, what I didn't know was in Chicago, whenever I wanted to wait tables, I would just go apply at a restaurant. I was never without a job longer than 2 weeks in Chicago.
Yeah.
But in LA,
Oh.
I needed a resume. I needed to write a resume for a restaurant. And so I'm like, oh my God. And it took me 2 months to
Mhm.
find a job. I had no idea. But again, to answer Rachel's thing and like, what would I do differently? The process of going out there, I would have done nothing. I don't think, maybe save more money, but still, I could say what I would have done differently the following year and the years after. That's a for sure. But going out there, I was so responsive to everything. A friend of mine introduced me to the casting director workshops, unheard of in Chicago. So I did a couple of them and I got no response. It was over the summer and I didn't know how the seasons worked. Somebody I knew, somebody I had met like on my last industrial film job in Chicago, a young cameraman moved out there. He was writing a screenplay. He said, I'm doing a staged reading for my script. Will you read some of the roles? And I'm like, sure. He's like, it's not leads. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I love this. I love doing different roles and doing different things. And I just want to get involved. This is like 2 months after I moved to LA. And I didn't know where I was. I didn't know that people did theater to be seen. I was just doing it for fun. I know it was a stage reading for a screenplay, but still it was on stage in front of people. I didn't know that there was a casting director in the audience who saw me and then called me in the very next week for a national commercial that I booked. First commercial, no representation, no connections, booked it.
Yeah.
Because I said yes. Because I wanted to play. And then I didn't know, like I said, how seasons worked. I didn't know things were kind of dead in the summer. So when I did those, like a couple of casting director workshops, I thought I didn't hear from them because they weren't interested. But then they started calling in the fall once episodic started coming up. And then my first year out here, I booked that national commercial and like three day player gigs on television shows, again, with still no representation, still no connections. And I'm like, this is so different from Chicago. Whereas in Chicago, it was limited.
Yeah.
They not just the jobs, but the perception they have of you. Out there, out in LA, they want you to be good. They want to call you in. They want. Like, we're friends, we're peers at casting. I'm not like really close to any casting directors, but it's equal. Unlike Chicago, there tends to be a hierarchy thing, which I find very unsettling.
So what did you learn later that you said there are some things that in the second and third year that I would have done differently? What were those things?
I think what it comes down to is self-judgment.
Mm.
Because after I started, oh, and what happened when I started booking these things, an old friend from Chicago who used to work at Stewart Talent in the children's division was working with a big agency in LA and said, hey, I heard about all the work you've been getting yourself. Our agency, which was really big at the time, we're opening up a Latino division and I'm inviting you in. So I got hooked up with this huge agency. I was getting these auditions I was not ready for.
Mm.
Not that I couldn't do the work, I just didn't know how to audition. And then 6 months later, that big agency sold and everyone flew,
Mm.
lost in the wind. And I I started feeling there was something wrong with me, because those agents who scattered to the wind, they didn't take me. Even though I was like new, I was too new. Why would they take me with them? So it prevented me from looking for a new agent because I had all this self-judgment. And then when I started doing submissions, the old mail in the headshot thing, and I wasn't getting any response and I wasn't getting any work, I started falling, I'll say, into the wrong crowd. No, it wasn't the wrong crowd so much as I lost I lost my eyes on the prize because it was hurting. I was starting to take it personally.
Mm.
It was hurting that, but I did so well the first year. Why is it gone? What am I doing wrong? And I didn't understand. Okay, it goes down. Stay in the game because it's going to go up. I wasn't staying in the game. And I was in survival mode. How am I going to make money? Where am I going to live? Now, to a person on the outside, they may say, oh, but Doreen, I never saw you like that. You were always doing something. I was, but I was playing small. I was always involved in like a small theater production or a stage reading or an improv group that was just starting off, nothing to keep my creative juices flowing. We need to contribute. This is human. We need to contribute to our tribes. And I knew I had this talent. Like, where can I contribute? Where? And I felt lost and I started partying too much, not too much. I always have a limit, but too often. So that, with my free time, it's like, hey, let's go to the movies and drinks afterwards. Yeah, let's do that. So and so's having a party. Instead of just settling down and doing something as simple as pulling out the old Uta Hagen and remember what inspired me, because I was getting farther and farther away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to cry for myself because for that girl who did that.
Yeah. But a lot, I know that, things are going well. And then it's that self-sabotage thing. It's like that thing. It's like things are going well, and that hopefulness and excitement when you first came to LA. And then, we are our own worst enemy, and we make certain things mean certain things, and we take ourselves. I so hear you on that. I think that's a human thing, that we do. And and so great. But then you turned yourself around.
Um, yeah, it came and went in spurts. The one thing that I have had since I've moved here is the same commercial agent. Since I moved here to LA, and that's coast to coast, and they've been top
Yeah.
commercial agents for many, many years. And the reason why I'm with them is because my agent, Hugh, he knows who I am.
Mhm.
So when I hear people come to me about, my agent's not listening to me and they keep sending me out for stuff that's not me or whatever, it's a very simple example of your agent doesn't know who you are. Hugh has always looked out for me. And I remember I wasn't booking and I came into his office. I might have been like helping him like do submissions or something. And I said, why do you keep me on? I said, I haven't booked in so long. And he like leaned back in his chair and he started to smile like he was glad somebody asked him this question.
Oh.
And what he said was, we keep you on because we can rely on you. And it's just a matter of time. We know you're going to hit. He knew I was going to hit. I didn't know I was going to hit. Yeah.
Oh, and thank God you asked him that, Because so many times we make up all these stories
God.
about what someone thinks and why we're not buying, why and then we walk ourselves right out of that agency.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's so easy to do.
It's a, yeah, we're so, you know, God, the number of actors that I've spoken to that are so upset with their agent, they just want to, they're going to leave them, but they're still the same actors that haven't worked in a couple of years. And I'm thinking, that's one solution, but it's not really. There's something deeper going on here. You can blame your agent, and some relationships need to end. We know that,
Yes. Yeah.
right? I just switched agencies back in
I know, I
December
saw that.
after
And I
6
was
years
kind of
of being,
surprised.
yeah, and so were they. But it was a long time. It wasn't an overnight decision. Absolutely not. But you know, some relationships need to end, but an actor needs to look at what's really going on. Like, why have you been with this agent and settling for 2 auditions a year for so long? That's where we need to look. And usually it's because on some level, they don't think they deserve to be called in for bigger things.
Hmm.
And I hate to say they, I'm going to say we, you know. Oh man, I've been through so many theatrical agents. Yeah, I've lost track. So the last one I was with was the longest I'd been with because
Yeah.
they were serving me well for what I needed at the time. And then it changed
Yeah.
for me, you know. And an opportunity came up with another agency that, again, like my commercial agent, they really saw me. They're like, oh yeah, what you want, we want. We're on the same page. And they've been they've been true to their word.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's, because I saw you when you were working with me. I saw you through a couple, right? And then the one that you went to for 6 years. So I was like, kind of like, oh, what happened there? I was like, I need it.
And that's another misnomer or misconception. We think that something has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're actors. We need this drama of something having to happen. Like, no, it's time. It's
Yeah.
just time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have questions.
Do we? Or are they just lovely comments?
No.
They've suddenly populated.
Yeah, yeah. They've suddenly populated.
Should I go ahead and ask one?
Yeah.
So Shane Martin says, to be impactful is one of the reasons I became an actor. Irish actor with experience in Vancouver. How do you keep up with an ever-changing industry? I was in LA in 2007, ended up as an extra on One Tree Hill and a couple of comedy shows. Done a lot of movies since and TV shows, but I feel like I have much more to give. So it's just a matter of determination, question mark. How do you get a good agent or relationship with your agent? Question.
Okay. So we've avoided this up until now. There's a reason why there was a different reason, but I'm glad the reason, whatever, the name of my company is called The Recognized Actor for a reason. Because once you recognize yourself, the world recognizes you. It's not the other way around. We can't be seeking it from outside there. What was the first part of her question? Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. With the ever-changing industry.
Yes.
Boy, we saw a lot of that during the pandemic, didn't we? Right? I'll give Shane was the first
Shane,
one?
yes, yes.
An example where this was prior to the pandemic. And I'm very active in our union. So I was at one of our working and wages and working meetings, and people come up to the microphone and say what they want to say. And this one woman was like shaking. She was so angry with what she had to say about self tapes. This is before the pandemic, that we shouldn't have to, and we shouldn't have to be a tech person and a director, and we shouldn't have to spend any money. And how am I? And she's a maybe 10 years older than me tops. but she's a contemporary in my book. But she was acting older. Like, how are we supposed to know how to da, 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 da? And she was so angry about it. I'm like, you know what? I could be annoyed with her, or I could offer her something. So afterwards, I said, hey, I know how to do this. I would be happy for free to show you how to shoot your next self-tape audition. I'd be happy to do it. And she refused because
Wow.
she was so stuck in what's supposed to be. And Shane, it's not about the industry changing, it's about us being able to adapt.
Yes.
There is a misquote from Darwin where people say only the strong survive, survival of the fittest. That is not what he said. What he said was adapt or die. So if something's changing and we feel like, oh, that shuts me out, we're not exploring.
No.
We're not exploring possibilities.
That's interesting that she turned you down. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, Shane. It is changing. It is changing more rapidly than in all the years I've been an actress. It's like, keeping up with what's happening, right? And so I think, that's just it does, throw you off a little bit because it's like, okay, what's now, right? But
Well, the
that's what,
danger is
yeah, go
the
ahead.
danger I think that we have is that we think that we have to do everything all at once. We have to learn everything all at once. It's like, no, just one thing at a time. Like social media, it's like just do the platforms that you're on right now. Don't go crazy thinking you have to do everything all at once. And to answer Shane's other question, how do you find a good agent? And that goes back to recognizing yourself. Because if we're looking for representation who's going to tell us how they see us, we're screwed. Come to them knowing what we have to offer. And if they don't see it, it's not because we don't have it, it's if they don't see it. Let's find somebody who does.
Yes, that is exactly right. What Doreen said is exactly right. We come like this. We always show up like this, like, please, sir, can I have some more? Like, and we have to show up like, here's what I have. Here's what I have, right? Here's what I have until we find the match. It's like the match game,
Yes,
right?
it's dating. We all know it. It's like romantic
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next, James?
So there are two questions, but it's the same person, so I'm going to make them into one question.
Okay.
I understand the blocking getting an agent, so to say. I had an agent that wasn't sending me auditions. We parted ways. I was ready to get a new one, a better one, but then I kind of lost it. I started getting afraid, probably of success. How do you fix that? Or maybe I'm afraid that I'll fail and not be able to take care of myself financially. How do you fix the fear of not having money?
Okay. So the first one, in my book, there is no such thing as fear of failure or fear of success. What we fear is how others will see us if we succeed, how others will see us if we fail. So it's not the experience that we fear. We're fearing what will people think of me. And to go under that layer is not only what will people think of me, but I've already made up negative things that they're going to say about me or think of me. That's where the fear comes from. It's all made up. So if you've lost your mojo, go back and ask yourself, what do I want? And it could be as simple as, I want to act. Okay, great. But guess what? We're not prisoners to Hollywood. I'm in Chicago doing a show, doing a play for very little money, might I add. I mean, it's good for theater, but it's like, oh, it ain't the network stuff, I'd be getting back in LA. There's theater everywhere. There are movies made everywhere. There are one-person shows being touring the world. If you want to do that, you know, there are so many ways to act. Well, then you may say, you know what? No, I want to act in film. Great. Guess what? Just like my Dear Jesus story, you don't need an agent for that. Go locally and see from the film office, you know, whatever that is in your country or your state film office, and see what's filming. And not saying now go sell yourself to those productions, but learn what's going on. Learn who the players are.
Yep.
Start to follow them on social media. This is a long game. If this is what you want, if you want it right away, you're going to screw yourself. You're going to be discouraged, and you got to, everything is planting seeds. Everything. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little older. So, you know, my seeds have sprouted, you know, but I wasn't patient when I was younger. But at the same time, cool things happened anyway. Anyway. What did I answer the question? There were two questions.
Yeah, I mean, the final question was, how do you fix the fear?
How do you fix okay.
Or fix the fear of the money thing was the
Yeah, not having money. Yeah.
yeah, about money.
Well, actually, I like the way you said it. How do you fix the fear? Because one of the foundations of my impact catalyst coaching is there is no solution to a feeling. What we have problems with is feeling the feelings. I'm feeling afraid. And you could either be afraid or I'm afraid. Feelings pass. Once we get clarity around a situation, the feelings pass. So if your fear of money, well, that's your thought process around it. What is it? I don't have any. So you don't have any, you think you're never going to have any? That's where we're going with the fear. You really think that you're not going to make more money. And that's bullshit. You've done it before, you're going to do it again. But I don't know where it's going to come from. We don't know what we don't know. If you think for a moment that you need to know what's going to happen, you're screwing yourself over and over. Knowing that you'll be fine with whatever happens, that you will adapt with whatever happens. That's wealth.
Awesome.
Did I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
Is that it? Is that our questions?
We did them all.
Yay! Those were good questions, you guys.
They were great questions.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. Is there anything, James, that you want to close up with today as we come to our end of our podcast?
Well, I love the fact that you knew that you need to refresh the soul of yourself as an actor, and that you said yes to a play, and that you're doing it, and that's so fantastic. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and we're actually running a special giveaway. The production is giving away 2 VIP tickets to opening night and the opening night party in Chicago. We can't fly you out here, but on the calendar, our opening night is sold out technically. But we're giving away 2 VIP tickets. So you can find me on Facebook. It's on my Facebook page.
What's the plan for the show? Are they thinking about wanting to move to Broadway? or off Broadway or New York or?
Okay, so again, it's like I got this audition through my Chicago agent during the strike.
Yes.
So that was the first reason why I said yes to the audition. And then after I accepted the job, okay, so this is bad business person. I don't know. I just go with flow. After I accepted the job, no, it was between the audition and the call. Once I got the call back, I started researching who's involved. Um, the director, Paul Oakley Stovall.
Mhm.
If you look him up, this dude's got an amazing resume. He's a black gay actor activist, and he's actually in Belfast right now doing his Frederick Douglass show. So we're off this week, but the cast is still meeting.
Mhm.
That's a whole other, see how you could like do your own show and take it around the world.
Right.
He's been doing that for years. And I see this guy, and I'm like, when I auditioned for him, had I known, I think it was after, must have been after the callback. Had I known, I would have created stories about how he's better than me and bigger than me and all of this stuff. I was just doing my thing,
Mhm.
and he loved it, you know. And we've gotten to know each other, and it's like totally level playing field, you know.
Mhm.
But he has New York connections.
Mhm.
The writer, Tom, um, he has New York connections.
Mhm.
It's like I'm starting to see where these people have connections, but that doesn't mean that's where it's going to go. It doesn't mean anything. And again, that's a little too much future tripping. As long as I am, see, this sounds a little too, I'm hippie, altruistic, or whatever. As long as we are doing our work, no, as long as we are fully immersed in the creative process of our work, fully immersed and not thinking about where is it going to go, who's going to see me, am I good, am I going to be good?
Yeah.
As long as we're doing that, none of that shit matters. Because I will be, if this ends and goes nowhere, I will have been well fed.
Mhm.
So just to remind people, the play is called Gods and Monsters. It's in Chicago. It's at Theater Wit, and it's on Belmont. For those of you who are actually in Chicago, it's 1229 West Belmont. I believe it opens May 9th. Is that right?
Previews, May 9th.
Previous May 9th?
The official opening is May 12th.
Okay,
And how long does it run till?
June 2nd with a possibility of a 2-week extension.
Girl, I'm going to tell you something. I might be able to come and see it.
I'll hook you up.
I'll reach out because we are, we're back and forth about are we taking this vacation or are we not? So I'm pretty sure we are. I'm going to talk to Gilbert tonight, but I'll be there because I'm going to come Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah. Well, now that we're on it, full disclosure, I know earlier I talked about how annoyed I am when people see this face, and they put me in the nanny or the housekeeper or whatever. I'm playing the Mexican housekeeper. But if you remember the movie, now this is a world premiere of this version of the play.
Right.
And the movie was based on a book. And in the movie with Brendan Fraser and Ian McKellen, Lynn Redgrave won a Golden Globe for the character that I was playing. Well, I read the book, and the book, her character is a Mexican. They changed her to Hungarian for Hollywood. Or maybe because they needed a star name. And back in 98, there weren't too many Latino stars to pull that
Right.
off. Yeah. But that's what I'm playing. But it's more than that. Even if you see the movie and the play goes in a different direction, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool. The set direction, the just the movement, it's very much an ensemble piece. I love it.
Well, and make sure you tell Sherry hi for me.
Of course. Of course, we're meeting, like we've been meeting like once a week, just kind of shaping the scene that we're going to shoot a week from Monday.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here with us today. You guys, we will be back next month, third Thursday of the month, as usual. And thank you, Doreen. That was great. That was a
Thank
great
you, Doreen.
conversation we had today. And thank you all for joining us live for our recording. And this recording will be available on all of the podcast platforms. So check it out there. We will have it up in the next couple of days. Thank you. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Doreen. Talk to y'all
Thank you.
soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.